record. Awesome. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. As you know, this is one of our exciting new resources, that Weiss Financial Ratings. And, I am recording the session. So you'll, for anybody who did sign up, the email that's associated with the session, I will link it out to you, the recording of it, probably this afternoon. So yeah, this is one of our 2 new exciting resources. You can get to it either from the NCLS, nclsweb.org, or right from the catalog. And it's just down here, that Weiss Financial Ratings. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. Now, this is one of our easy proxy authentication online resources. So this link up here, you can actually copy and paste that into any social media you're doing, onto your website, and that link is static. So when somebody goes to that link, all they see is the library card login, which talks to our CERC system, and boom, they're into the service. So simple and so easy. Now, one of the things that you'll notice before we get started here is in the upper right-hand corner, there is a sign in, sign up, but you are registered through North Country Library System, right? So North Country Library System is providing you access already. But if you decide to create a personal account, you do have some additional options. So for instance, creating your own watch list, getting email alerts for upgrades and downgrades. That's mostly in regards to some of the stock features that Weiss Financial has to offer. But for people who want those alerts, they would just create an account and then they can log into that later on. So we can get started here. At the top, we have basically all of the major items that this categories that this resource provides. So just, we're on the home page right now. We have stocks, mutual funds, exchange traded funds, or also ETFs, banks, credit unions, insurance companies, and Medigap. So there's a lot here. I'm going to get started with stocks. What's great about what Weiss Financial offers in terms of a lot of these, which includes the stocks, ETFs, all that, is typically a lot of this, and this is speaking from personal experience, a lot of this information is typically behind a paywall, right? So if you want these sort of, financial institutions who are doing these ratings and like actual ratings on stocks, where they really look at, the risk, the return, things like that, is all usually behind a paywall. So like, that even, Yahoo Finance and all of those, like they're going to cost you something. Whereas people with their library card can access an awesome resource that does that for free. So when we click stocks, they do highlight a stock of the day. There's also a lot of rating changes that they let you know, both upgrades, right, in green, and downgrades and upgrades, right? They let you know here, but the color corresponds to over here, whether it's a buy, so a stock that maybe you should add to your portfolio, a hold in yellow, basically a stock that don't buy it or sell it, just hold it, or something that you should be selling. You can see here that there is actually a pretty big disparity between the ratings at the moment that they have to offer. But they gave you some other awesome categories. Now, of course, the whole stock screener thing that I was kind of mentioning, that you can get with, if you do actually decide to sign up for an account, you can get automatic alerts sent to you if you make that account for specific stocks. So let's say, for instance, you want to know about Apple and Toyota, things like that, Tesla. If one of those is upgraded or downgraded, you can get that alert sent to you by creating one of those accounts. So search by name or symbol. Now this, I'm pretty sure this goes through all of their resources here, right? But if we do, yeah, Tesla, which is TSLA, that's just like a big one. We can click that stock. They're rating it as a buy, as a B minus, and they give you all sorts of information, which is excellent. And again, information that's typically behind a paywall. So their ratings, they reward, looks like it's loading still here a little bit, but they rate the reward of it as an A+ for excellent. The risk is not great, but the growth is excellent. We can even do, so there's key statistics, some stuff here on the side. One thing that when we were being shown this resource, one thing that I thought was very interesting was the rating history. So anytime Weiss Financial has changed the rating of this particular stock, you can actually see. So here are the dates here. We can go all the way back. Hold, sell. We see a lot of, those kind of hold and sell ratings. And then as time goes on, things start to look a little bit better, right? So again, that historical information is very cool to have, and typically not available just searching the web. Okay. Sector or industry comparisons, also really cool for a lot of people who are in the stocks. They'll find comparisons within the sector important. So for instance, automobiles, right? Tesla is a part of that sector. So showing where Tesla is compared to the industry average. Now, Tesla is obviously a little bit more of an anomaly of a company. So they're, where they fall is going to be different than the industry average, probably vastly different. But that's, again, more excellent information that typically is not available just for free. So I'm just going to click back on the stocks thing here. Okay. And again, I think for anybody who's just getting into this too, exploring some of these, stocks that have 52-week highs, and again, more rating changes, upcoming dividends. So when those, if a stock does pay out a dividend, showing who has them that are upcoming, pretty cool stuff. Okay, I will say I am very pleased with how user-friendly this service is too. So even if you're new to stocks, you don't know anything, or mutual funds, ETFs, banks, credit unions, insurance companies, it is very easy to use. And again, I'll show you examples through all these, but I'm personally very impressed with how user-friendly it is. Okay. So mutual funds, if you belong to any sort of like retirement system, these are typically what those deal with, right? So you might recognize like how T. Rowe Price performs, Vanguard. It's typically a basket of stocks and investments. And so that mutual fund is managing, like, the T. Rowe Price, they're managing that basket. You'll see that the ratings distribution is different over here with the mutual funds, right? And part of that is because when you have experienced investors managing that mutual fund, typically they're managing it in a, you'd like to think a good, with some due diligence, right? And also too, they, especially with the mutual funds, these are not very risky investments either. They're especially if they're for retirement accounts, they're managing something that's got a lot lower risk and more of a kind of steady return. Lower return maybe, but steady. Okay. Also too, anytime that Kim, our rep, had shown us this resource before, she usually had done it pretty, it's not long to show what this is capable of. So probably about a, a half hour, maybe 40 minutes or so, and we'll be good. But okay. So the next one is exchange traded funds. Now these are also known as ETFs. And what these are is it's a lot like a mutual fund where it is a basket of stocks that a company like, for instance, Grayscale or iShares or ARK are managing, and they're making these exchange traded funds. This basket of stocks has such a huge range. It can be large cap, meaning like massive companies, or small cap, much smaller companies. It can focus on sector like technology. It can focus on consumer goods, different sectors of the market, right? Real estate, banking, financial institutions. It can do fintech, financial technology, but it's generally an exchange traded fund is a basket of stocks that a company, they have people at that company who are doing buys and sells and everything, managing that ETF. So you buy the ETF and other people are actually managing that. So for people who are into stocks, you can get ETFs right in that same platform. So if anybody's using E-Trade or Robinhood or Ameritrade, anything like that, both ETFs and stocks are available right in that same exact platform. So again, this is going to look a lot like how the stocks did, and a bit as the mutual funds, but they're showing at the front here, best 1-year return by ETFs, some 52-week high ETFs. Again, the ratings distribution one. I think as opposed to stocks, when we click on the mutual funds or the ETFs, you've got a little bit more there in the buy and hold categories. Again, because ETFs are a little bit like a blend between the mutual funds and the stocks, where that basket is something that you hold long term. And so that's kind of where, and again, it's a little bit lower risk than owning an individual stock and everything. So you're going to find that the ratings pile a little bit closer to the buy and hold range there. Okay. Again, I mean, I guess if we wanted to look at a specific ETF, you've got all that same exact information in there too. Price history, similar ETFs. So ARK Innovation, there are no similar ETFs to this, like, right? What they do is they do innovative technology, disruptive technology. Let's do, see if something comes up for the iShares here. And I'm trying to be a little bit mindful of there being jargon and stuff like that. But again, I will say that this is pretty user-friendly, and if anybody's trying to get into this sort of thing, it should appear as very user-friendly to them as well, as far as the navigating and all that. Okay. So the next category at the top here are banks. This one is a lot. This is much simpler to deal with, right? And the amazing part, and I remember being so amazed when our person had shown us this, was that all your banks are in here. Community Bank is in here. Watertown Savings Bank is in here. You can look up their rating. Of course, the information on this front page, they're going to be showing you obviously a lot of like huge banks. But I think especially a lot of people in our rural communities that have, ties to our smaller local banks are going to want to look up their own bank and see what sort of information it has to offer. Okay. So typing in even Watertown Savings Bank as an example. This one's out of the Watertown, Massachusetts. Totally different bank. Here's ours, Watertown NY. Check it out. We've actually got actually a better rating than them. But let's go ahead and click on that. Okay. So again, this is for anybody any of your patrons who have any sort of questions about, this is a financial literacy tool. And so maybe they have a bank that they're not really sure is reputable, or they just want that confirmation maybe that their bank is one of the more reputable ones. And everybody, for the most part, everybody has a bank, right? So being able to look it up in here and see is awesome. Now I just clicked on the history of ratings for Watertown Savings Bank. And for the most part, they've always had a really good rating. I don't know that we need to do quite an industry comparison at all with something like this, but certainly the information is there. And it looks like they perform either pretty close to the industry average or higher. Well, except for their balance sheet, right? Probably a smaller bank. So yeah, I think the banks one is pretty self-explanatory. It is interesting to see that for the most part, there are a lot of banks that are rated highly, which is great, obviously, especially if people are storing the most of their savings in a bank, right? I did find really interesting, there are some of those online banks, and I'm trying to think of the example that our person used, but yeah, some of those kind of like online ones that don't have a super they don't have a long history of financial stability and everything, even though we might recognize some of the names of those kind of like online ones, they actually fall in the lower ratings simply because, right, they don't really have a super long history of being financially stable and everything, right? So yeah, again, pretty straightforward. And again, I think anybody would be curious to see where the bank that they use is rated. Credit unions, I don't quite need to go into too much detail here, but it is pretty much exactly the same thing. If you want to do a quick search for a credit union and just see, the distribution is a little bit different, right? Okay. Let's move on to insurance companies. Okay. Now we find with insurance companies, the distribution is obviously a little bit different, right? There are some insurance companies that seems probably much riskier than others, and maybe their payouts, right, when an accident happens or something is not as they don't have a good track record of that, right? So this is everything. It's healthcare, it's automobile, it's home insurance, right? Let's do a quick search here. I'm just going to throw in Geico. Okay. So here's all the different Geicos here. I do want to throw in, let's do Lemonade. So if you're not familiar, Lemonade is one of those ones where just like I was talking about with like the online banks, Lemonade is a kind of really, really new popular startup insurance company, especially with like kind of the millennials, like you can get the Lemonade app and, all of this, right? But their rating is absolutely terrible. So I think that can be extremely informative for people who are seeking insurance companies, right? You might see a bunch of ads for Lemonade online and they talk about how simple it is and everything, but like, what's the actual track record of their stability and their payouts and all of that? Certainly, it doesn't look amazing. So I thought that was really interesting. And again, that was one that that was an example that our rep had shown us last time. So again, life insurance as well. I'd just be curious to see, again, when you see these distributions, you can actually click right on and it'll show you, okay, who falls into these things. We can even add criteria, because maybe we're specifically looking for let's see, let's do, well, yeah, there's definitely a lot of, there we go. So insurance type. There we go. Okay. So this one is applicable, right? Because we're looking at insurance. We want to see insurance type. That's the criteria that we've added. And let's throw an auto. No auto insurance companies in A+. What about A? Nope. Okay. Hopefully I'm doing this right. Oh, here we go. Okay. Cincinnati Indemnity. Oh, okay. Here we go. Now we're seeing Geico show up as a B+. Isn't that interesting? There just really aren't a lot of A-rated auto insurance companies. But certainly for any of our patrons who are looking at insurance companies and who are wanting to find a solid auto insurance company and don't know where to start, I mean, this is such an awesome tool. And of course we can go all the way to B-2 and just see that now there are 389 results, right? So a lot more to choose from. Maybe we can do even like a sort ascending, and think yeah, this is just the state of the corporate address there, but I was just curious about ones in New York. But either way, right? So I think the insurance thing is really, really awesome. I'm hopeful. Oh yeah, we can leave the site. I'm hopeful that I'm going to be able to communicate how valuable this Medigap one is. But I know that when Yvonne from Flower saw this, she was very impressed as well. So basically this is your Medigap coverage report, right? So people who are seeking Medigap, let's see, we're going to go ahead and get the report. I just put my age in as 65, obviously, just to see what we've got here. So now it's building the report, and I think this takes a little while, and it'll actually spit out a PDF. I do remember this taking a little while because it does create like this huge, massive PDF as well. Does anybody have any questions so far? I apologize if I've kind of, it's not a traditional tool. There's probably a little bit more jargon. Okay. Okay, and then here is my report is ready, so I'm going to view the report. As you can see, it's a PDF. So it's a customized guide to help me choose the best and most affordable Medicare supplement insurance. Let's see. So it gives you a lot of information here. Okay. So this answers a lot of questions about what Medicare pays. And I want to show, I think, what was the most valuable piece here. Let me see if I can navigate to find it. Oh, yeah. And this is, look at, this is a 57-page thing, right? But it is very, very thorough. Okay, so this is exactly well, the type of information we're hoping to find, right? There are different Medigap plans that I believe New York State has to, like New York State basically says, if you're a Medigap plan A or B, you legally have to pay this type of thing and have this type of, payout and rule around it, right? So let's do. Perfect. So this is exactly where the gold is in this sort of PDF document, right? What people are looking for, because they're looking for that Medigap coverage. So here are the names of some of those companies with a safety rating of B- or higher up here, right? And this is for Medigap Plan A. So if you decide that you wanted Plan A or Plan B a little further down, right? You decide what plan you want. And let's go with A, or for the sake of the example, we'll go with A. So these are all of the companies that have agreed to provide Plan A. This is their safety rating. And here's the annual premium that it's going to cost. So you can see here, if all of these companies are saying that they are legally paying, we've got companies in Utica, Utica, Watertown, New York, according to New York State, if they're all paying or they're all offering Plan A and their safety ratings are all this, why not choose the cheapest one? Or maybe you want something that's got a little higher rating at A, Health Now New York Inc. And it costs $23.67, right? Why pay $2,700 or $3,000 for something that's actually got a lower rating? This was actually one of the nice, and again, this isn't something that resonates with my own stage in life. But, I know when I was looking at this with our rep, I understood how saving literally thousands of dollars on choosing a Medigap coverage plan more than paid for the value of this service. I mean, a couple people using it pays for basically the value that we, what we can save people is awesome using the Weiss Financial. So again, just as another example, here's Plan B on page, again, we're 26 of the PDF. Here's Plan B, talks a little bit about Plan B. And then here are the companies that offer Medigap premium rates for Plan B. We see a lot of the same familiar names, more New York companies again, and their ratings of B or B- or higher, and their costs ranging everywhere from $2,200 to $3,400 and providing the same exact plan. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert with this by any means, but again, certainly there's an opportunity for patrons who are curious about Medigap coverage or who are currently, seeking it to save a lot of money here. Okay. So let's see if I go back here. Okay. So we're back on, I've covered kind of all the main things here. They do have some other financial literacy tools, consumer guides, financial literacy basics, planning for the future, how to become an investor. So for a lot of people, I kind of went through the stocks and the ETFs and stuff, and I know I apologize. I know I probably use a little bit of jargon and everything, but this by no means is it just for users who have that already have some familiarity. Certainly there are some ebooks and everything here that people can take advantage of. Some consumer guides, automobile insurance, homeowners insurance. Pretty awesome stuff. And here I can just click on one and it's literally a PDF. You know, when you open up a PDF, it might look a little bit different in your browser, but you should have some option to both download the PDF and print it. So if a patron maybe needed help with, you know, wanting something about automobile insurance and just getting started there, certainly you could even just download this PDF and email it right to them. But I do think the, you know, these ebooks that they provide are very valuable as well for people just starting out. Okay. Does anyone have any questions on this? And I can try my best to answer them. Okay. Awesome. Well, if there are no further questions, certainly I'm going to, you know, I'll get this recording up into YouTube and send it out to everybody. And I do thank everybody for coming. Again, I think that this is such an awesome, valuable resource that, you know, the amount of money that was spent on this from Central Library Development Funds, you know, this is one of those resources that the CLAC thought would be valuable as a financial literacy tool for patrons. It does actually just straight up have a lot of potential to either help patrons save money or certainly reduce the risk of their financial, you know, their finances. And I think that is such an awesome tool to have, especially right now where, you know, financially, because of the pandemic, things are a little more, you know, unknown and risky for sure. So awesome. Well,
thank you. And thank you for the last minute presentation. You did a good job.
Okay. I really appreciate that. Yeah. Great. Awesome. Well, thank you again. And like I said, expect the recording very soon. Okay.